Hey students, welcome back to Lakshya Education Online. This is second episode of chapter number 14, Statistics. In the first episode, we studied how to find mean of a classified distributed data. In the first episode, we discussed about the first method, that was direct method. Though we know that we can find the mean of classified data by any of the methods, method number 1, 2 or 3, which we discussed in the first episode. Generally, we use first method in case when the values of fi and xi are small values, so that the product of fi and xi will not be very much large. So the first method will be convenient in that case. But in case if the values of fi, which is given in your data, or the values of xi which we have obtained from the data are a bit of large values, so that the product of fi and xi will become much larger. So we should go for the second method, that is called the method of assumed mean, or the third method, which is called step deviation method. So now in this episode we are going to understand the second method, that is called method of assumed mean. Let's start it. So let us start the second method to find the mean of the given data. The name of this method is assumed mean method. Now we have a formula to find mean by this method, and the formula is x bar equal to a plus sigma fi di upon sigma fi. First of all, you have to learn this formula. I will explain you what here A is and what is DI. Here A is called the assumed mean of the given data, and DI can be obtained by xi minus A. How to get assumed mean and DI for the given data? That can be understood by only taking a sum. So let us take a sum from the exercise. Now here you have one question from exercise 14.1. Question number 2. Here a data is given, data of daily wages of 50 workers of a factory, which is given here, and you have to find the mean daily wages of the workers from the given data. See, the data is, the classes are given, the daily wages are rupees 500 to 520 and number of workers are 12. 520 to 540 rupees wages, number of workers is 14. 540 to 560, 8 workers. 560 to 580, 6 workers, and 580 to 600 rupees wages, number of workers is 10. Now we will solve this question and find the mean by method of assumed mean. Now always remember one thing, whenever you have to find the mean, the first thing you need to do is you have to find xi. Xi, we know how to find xi. Class mark, xi is the sum of lower limit and upper limit divided by 2. Here lower limit is 500, upper limit is 520. 500 plus 520, it will be 1020, divide by 2, you will get 510. Now you have to find xi for all these terms, as you know how to find it. Do it yourself. So here they are, as the class mark is the mid value of the given class, therefore 520 and 540, its mid value is 530. 540 and 560, its mid value is 550, and so on. You can get the class marks. So this is xi. Now we have to get di. Before getting di, we must get a. A is called assumed mean. As we have seen in the formula, x bar equals to a plus sigma fi di upon sigma fi. So we have to first of all assume a mean. Now assuming a mean means we have to obtain a value from the class marks. We can assume any of these numbers as assumed mean, but in general we will assume the middle term of all these class marks. As we have here 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 class marks, 5 terms, so the middle term of these 5 terms is 550. Therefore here 550 is considered to be as assumed mean, A. We will assume it as assumed mean. You can assume any of these numbers as assumed mean, but it becomes easier for us when we assume the middle value of these given terms. So here a is 550. Then we have to get di, and we know that di equals to xi minus a, as we discussed earlier. Now how to get di? Xi means this class mark for each term. For term 1, xi is 510. For second step, xi is 530. For this step, xi is 550, and so on. We have to get di. For the first term, di is xi minus a. It means 510 minus 550. That will be minus 40. So for the first term, di is minus 40. Then for the second term, di will be xi minus a, that is 530 minus 550. It will be negative 20. Then for the third term, here xi is 550 and a is 550 for all the terms. That means 550 minus 550, it will be 0. So the di term in front of a will always be 0. Then for the next term, xi is 570, a is 550, 570 minus 550 will be 20, it will be positive 20. Then for the next term, xi is 590 and a is 550, 590 minus 550 will be 40. So these are the values of di for each term. Now the next thing we have to do is we have to find fi di. In the first method we had found fi xi. Now we have to get fi di. So we will get the multiplication of fi and di in each term. Here for the first term, fi is 12 and di is minus 40. So product of 12 and minus 40 will be 12 into 4, 48. It will be minus 480. Then 14 into 2, 28. It will be minus 280. Then fi into di, 8 into 0, it will be 0. Then 6 into 2, 12, it is 120. Then 10 into 40 will be 400. So these are the values of fi di for each term. Two terms are negative, one is 0 and two terms are positive. Now we need to find sigma fi di, that is the addition of all these fi di terms. To get that, first of all, we will get the addition of negative terms and addition of positive terms separately. First of all, there are two negative terms, minus 480 and minus 280. As both are negative, so addition of them, minus 480 and minus 280 will be, if you add them, you will get minus 760. This is the addition of negative terms. Then addition of these positive terms, 400 plus 120 will be 520. Now we want sigma fi di. It will be addition of these two terms, that is minus 760 plus 520. One is negative, one is positive, so we should do subtraction and the sign will be from the larger number. So minus 760 plus 520, if you do the calculation, you will get minus 240. This is our sigma fi di for this question. Now we know that the formula to find mean using assumed mean method, the formula is x bar equals to a plus sigma fi di upon sigma fi. Here sigma fi is the sum of all the numbers which are present in fi. As we have the data of 50 workers, therefore the sum of all fi terms will be 50, sigma fi is 50. Now we apply the values of a, sigma fi di and sigma fi in the formula. Let us apply. A equals to 550 plus sigma fi di, that is minus 240, divide by sigma fi is 50. 0 0 cut. So we get 550 plus minus minus, you should be very much careful here for the sign, 24 upon 5. Now here at this step, what you should do? You should divide 24 by 5. If you divide 24 by 5, you do it yourself. If you divide 24 by 5, you will get 4.8. So here we got 550 minus 4.8. Do the subtraction. You will get 545.2. So this is the mean of this data, mean daily wages. So we can say that the mean daily wages is 545.2 rupees, or we can say 545.20. If you write 545.2 or 20, will be one and same. So this is the mean of this given data by the method of assumed mean. Let us take one more question from exercise 14.1. Question number 5. Here the question is about distribution of mangoes according to the number of boxes. That data is given. Here the data is about number of mangoes in number of boxes. The classes are given 50 to 52 mangoes. There are 15 boxes. There are 110 boxes which have 53 to 55 mangoes. There are 135 boxes which has 56 to 58 mangoes in it. There are 115 boxes containing 59 to 61 mangoes in it. And there are 25 boxes containing 62 to 64 mangoes in it. Now from this given data, we have to find the mean number of mangoes in the packing boxes. The first thing we need to do is find xi, that is mid value of the given data. For the given classes, we have to find the mid value. For the first class, 50 to 52, sum of lower limit and upper limit, 50 plus 52, it is 102, divided by 2 will be 51, which is mid value of 50 and 52. So xi for class 1 is 51. Similarly, for class 2, it will be the mid value of these two values, 53 and 55, its mid value is 54. For class 3, 56 and 58, mid value is 57. For the next class, 59 and 61, 60 is the mid value. Next, 62 to 64. So here we have xi for each class. Now we have to assume a mean, that is assumed mean, as we know that the middle value of these all xi, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 57 will be A for this given data. Now we have to get di, as we know di equal to xi minus A. Therefore for the first term xi is 51 and A is 57. 51 minus 57, we will get minus 6. Then for the second term, 54 is xi and A is 57. 54 minus 57 will be minus 3. For the third term, 57 minus 57 itself will be 0. Next, xi is 60 and A is 57. 60 minus 57 will be 3. And the next will be 63 minus 57 will be 6. So this way we have got di for each of these terms. Now we have to get FIDI, that is the product of Fi and di. Let us see. For the first term, Fi is 15, di is minus 6. 15 into 6, it will be minus 90. Then 110 multiplied by 3, it will be 330. So that will become minus 330. Then 135 multiplied by 0 will be 0. Then 115 multiplied by 3, it will be 345. And next 25 multiplied by 6, it is 150. So these are the values of FIDI for each term. Now to get sigma FIDI, first of all, we will get the addition of negative terms and the addition of positive terms. If you add negative 90 and negative 330, what you get? It will be minus 420. Similarly, the sum of these two positive numbers, 345 and 150, it is 495. So this way we can get sigma fi di will be the sum of these two numbers, minus 420 plus 495. It means we can also say 495 minus 420. You get 75. This is sigma fi di. Now we have to get mean, x bar. We know that the formula according to the assume mean method is x bar equals to a plus sigma fi di upon sigma fi. Here sigma fi, that is the sum of all the terms of fi. Here in the question total number of boxes is not given, so in this case you will have to do the sum of all these numbers. Do it yourself. You will get the total number of boxes as 400. Therefore sigma fi equals to 400. Applying all these values, x bar equals to a, that is 57, plus sigma fi di, it is 75, divide by sigma fi, it is 400. Now here we cannot get direct cancellation of 0 0 over here, so we can divide 75 by 400. Now to divide 75 by 400, we will do 400 equals to 4 multiplied by 100, so that we can divide 75 by 4. Do the division of 75 by 4. You will get 18.7. Now as we have to divide 75 by 400, it means 4 into 100. We have already divided 75 by 4, so that in the denominator 100 will remain. So 18.7 divided by 100. Now as we know that if you want to get this value, 18.7 divided by 100, we will shift the decimal point by 2 steps and we will get 0.187. So the value of 75 divided by 400 becomes 0.187 this way. Now we can apply these values directly here. So 57 plus 75 divided by 400 is 0.187. Therefore, now we add 57 means 57.000 plus 0.187. We will get 57.187. You can also write this, if you want to remove the last digit, it is more than 5. If the last digit is 5 or more than 5, it can be removed and 1 should be added to its previous digit. So we will get 57.19. So here the mean is 57.19 mangoes. This is the average or the mean mangoes per box. Now let us take one more question from exercise 14.1. Question number 7. This question we have solved in episode 1 by direct method. Now the same question we will solve by the second method, assume mean method. Let's see here. The question is the concentration of sulfur dioxide in ppm is given in 30 localities in a city. The data is given here. We have to find the mean concentration of sulfur dioxide. As in the question, the classes are given 0.00 to 0.04 ppm. There are 4 localities, that is the frequency Fi. 0.04 to 0.8 ppm. There are 9 localities. 0.08 to 0.12 ppm. Frequency Fi is 9, and so on. These are the given values. As there are total 30 localities, it means sigma Fi equals to 30. Now as we know that, first of all we have to find xi, that is the mid value or the class mark. Sum of lower limit plus upper limit divided by 2, 0.00 plus 0.04, that is 0.04 divided by 2 will be 0.02. Now you can find all these xi yourself. So these are the values of xi for the individual terms. Now we have to assume A, assume mean. Now in the previous 2 questions we had seen that we had 5 terms here. So the third term would be the middle term in those cases. But in this case there are 6 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here we cannot get one single middle term. Whenever in the given data these number of terms are even number of terms, then you will not get a single mid value here. You will get 2 values. Out of these 2 values, you can assume any of them as A. But the more preferable value is the value which has higher value of Fi. Here we get 0.10 and 0.14 are in the middle values. Out of these two, 0.10 has larger number of frequency, that is Fi, because this is 2 and this is 9, this one is greater number, so this number will be assumed as A. If some student assumes 0.14 as A, even then you will get the same answer. You can assume any of these two as A. Now after getting A, we have to find Di. Di equals to Xi minus A. Now you have to be careful and get this value. For first term, Xi equal to 0.02 and A equals to 0.10. Therefore, Di equals to 0.02 minus 0.10. That will be minus 0.08. This is Di for the first term. Now for the second term, Xi minus A, 0.06 minus 0.10 will be minus 0.04. Then next, 0.10 minus 0.10 will be 0.00. Next is 0.14 minus 0.10 will be 0.04. Next is 0.18 minus 0.10 will be 0.08. And the next is 0.22 minus 0.10, that will be 0.12. So these are the Di for each individual term. Now the next thing we have to find is Fi/Di. Fi/Di is the product of Fi and Di. Let's see, for the first term, Fi is 4 and Di is 0.08. The multiplication of these two terms will be 8 multiplied by 4 will be 32. So you will get minus 0.32. Next is 9 multiplied by minus 0.04. It will be minus 0.36. 9 into 4 will be 36. Now 9 multiplied by 0, that will be 0.00. Next is 2 multiplied by 0.04. 4 into 2 is 8. It will become 0.08. Next will be 4 multiplied by 0.08. 8 into 4, 32. You'll get 0.32. And next is 2 multiplied by 0.12. 12 into 2, 24. 0.24. So these are the values of Fi/Di. Now after getting individual Fi/Di, we want to find sigma Fi/Di. So as you know, first of all, we will get the addition of negative terms and addition of positive terms. Let us see. The sum of negative terms is 0.32 plus 0.36. You add it, you will get minus 0.68. And the positive terms, all these terms, you have to add them. If you add them, you will get 0.64. Now as we have to get sigma Fi/Di is the sum of these two terms, that is minus 0.68 plus 0.64. So sigma Fi/Di in this case will be minus 0.04. This is your sigma Fi/Di. Now we have to get mean of this data. As we know that the formula is x bar equal to a plus sigma Fi/Di upon sigma Fi. Let us apply the values. A equals to, we know that 0.10 plus sigma Fi/Di is minus 0.04 upon sigma Fi is 30. You have to divide minus 0.04 by 30. I will show you how to get this division. 0.04 divided by 30. We will first of all remove the decimal point from here. So we get 4 upon, as there are two digits after decimal point, we get 4 by 100 and that is 30 itself. So the term becomes 4 upon 100 into 30. Now we can get this 100 as it is and 30 as 10 into 3. 4 divided by 3 multiplied by 100 multiplied by 10 is 1000. So now you have to divide 4 by 3. You will get 1.33. 4 divided by 3 is 1.33 upon 1000 as it is. 1.33 divided by 1000 you can shift this decimal point by 3 steps. So 3 will remain as it is. Then as there are 3 zeros here in denominator, this decimal point will be shifted by 3 steps, 1, 2 and 3. So you get 0.00133. Now this is the decimal conversion of this division. That means minus 0.04 divided by 30 will be negative of this number, that is 0.10 plus, as this is negative term, minus, and this division is 0.00133. So we get 0.10 plus minus 0.00133. Now we need not to write all these decimal steps into this next step. So we will remove the last 2 digits. As the last digit is 3, it is less than 5, we can remove it. We need not to add 1 into the previous number. So we can remove this 3. Then this will remain 0.0013. We can also remove this 3. It will be removed and 1 will remain as it is. So this decimal fraction will remain 0.001. So we can write 0.10, as there are 3 digits after this decimal point. We have to keep here 3 digits. There is not third digit. We can write 0 here. So we can write 0.100 minus 0.001. Now you have to do this subtraction. Let us do it here. 0.100 minus 0.001. 0, 9, 10. 10 minus 1 will be 9. 9 minus 0 will be 9. 0 minus 0 will be 0. You get 0.099. So this subtraction will become 0.099. As we have removed the last 2 digits in the decimal fraction, this is an approximate value. So we can write that the mean of this given data is 0.099 approx. This is an approximate value. So in this case, the concentration of sulfur dioxide is 0.099 ppm approximately. So dear students, this was the second method to find the mean. It was the method of assumed mean. I hope you have understood this method. Practice well. आज हमने एक्सरसाइज 14.1 के 3 सम्स मैंने तुम लोगों को यहाँ पे एक्सप्लेन किया. दैट वाज क्वेश्चन नंबर 2, 5 and 7. नाउ यू हैव टू ट्राई योरसेल्फ क्वेश्चन नंबर 4, 6, 8 and 9. You have to try yourself. I hope you all students are trying yourself the remaining sums. Practice जितनी करोगे उतना तुम्हें फायदा होगा. One more thing, as I told you in the previous episode that during solving these sums you have not to use calculator, because in your board exams you will not be allowed to use calculator. So this was the end of episode number 2, chapter number 14. In the next episode we will study the next method, that is step deviation method. Till then, keep on practicing and give me like if you like my videos and share with your friends. Keep on watching Lakshya Education Online. Keep studying.